Hello, hello. Welcome to another episode of Inner Work for Greater Good. My name is Emily Eldridge. I'm with Change Light, where I teach you inner work that accelerates your power, excuse me, your power to make a difference in the world. This is what this is all about, helping each one of you light up with your beautiful, radiant light and have the greatest, most positive impact you can possibly have on the people around you and the world at large. So today I'm going to be talking about an aspect of the drama triangle. If you are not familiar with the drama triangle, you must know about the drama triangle. If you've kind of heard of the drama triangle, you must know about the drama triangle. If you're really familiar with the drama triangle, yes, the whole world needs to know about the drama triangle. So what am I talking about here? All right, I did it forwards for me and backwards for me, and it looks like it's coming across as the bottom one is the correct for you. I hope that's correct. But in any case, this is the drama triangle, and that's backwards, sorry. And I'm sorry, it's messy. But this is the drama triangle. Okay, so the drama triangle, before I get into the elements of it, basically anytime we are in an unhealthy dynamic with other people, so it could be family members, it could be at work, it could be, you know, honestly, I've even seen some of it globally, that basically, if it's an unhealthy situation, unhealthy dynamic between two or more parties, each person is playing one of these roles on the drama triangle, okay? So there's persecutor, rescuer, and victim. So think about anytime you've been in any kind of conflict situation or unhealthy dynamic with the people around you that just either just wasn't changing or wasn't working, or there was all this conflict, and just think about which role you might have been playing. Now, persecutor, I mean, each role is pretty self-explanatory. The persecutor tends to be the person who's attacking, criticizing, finding fault, and basically seeing others or one person as, you know, bad or wrong or not okay or needing to change or whatever. So that tends to be a persecutor. A rescuer tends to be someone who's trying to rescue. Maybe they're trying to rescue the victim. They could be trying to rescue the persecutor, but they're playing the rescuer role of trying to fix, help, save, whatever it is, people or anything in the situation. And victim is, as the name suggests, someone who feels like they're the victim, powerless, weak, wounded, hurt, helpless. So these tend to be the roles that are played in unhealthy dynamic situations. And while you may look at it and you go, oh my gosh, I totally played the rescuer role in this situation. Or, oh, I admit I've been the persecutor sometimes. And well, yeah, I really did feel like I was the victim because I was being attacked or I was being hurt and everybody else saw it. They were all trying to help me. Whatever the case was, we all can play these different roles in different situations depending. But the point that I want to make today is the fact that between each of these, notice what we have. We have arrows. Now, they're not just going one direction, they're going both directions, right? Back and forth. So the idea is that it's a very short distance between playing the victim or acting like the victim or feeling like the victim and being the persecutor. Playing the persecutor, being in that persecutor role, behaving in that way. Same thing with rescuer. It's a short distance between these two. That just because you may see yourself as a victim, or you may see yourself as a victim, but you can also end up playing a rescuer role. And the same between these two. People can slide between being rescuer and persecutor. Now, I'll just give you some really quick examples. I may have talked about this in previous episodes, but I just want to go over this again because it's really, really important to recognize that the distance between these is really short, because I want us to really recognize when we are slipping between these. First of all, being on the drama triangle is unhealthy, period. If you are on the drama triangle in any situation, you are disempowered, okay? Remember that. You are not in a position of power if you are playing any of these roles. And sorry, there's a lot to share here, but basically the reason why that is because this persecutor, there's the underlying belief, I am not okay unless this victim changes its ways, unless this rescuer stops doing what it's doing. Rescuer, I am not okay unless, or as long as, this victim is still hurting and in pain. And so there's this codependency here. There's this interrelationship here, and it's not healthy, because basically each of these people is laying their well-being at the feet of someone else, and that their well-being and their emotional health, their mental health, their everything health is dependent on somebody else, on the drama triangle. That is not healthy. Okay, there is a whole other triangle called the healthy triangle that was not discovered or developed by the same person, but someone else, and that's a whole other thing. I may have even talked about it. You can look it up. But what I really want to impress upon today is the fact that we can slide. There is a short distance between these. And that, first of all, you don't want to be on the drama triangle, but also be really aware, if you do notice that you're playing one particular role, that then you also slide to some of the other roles. So it's very common, I'm going to say, especially with those of us who are change makers or, really helpers, and we want to make a difference, is that sometimes if we've been through a, situation, we've experienced victimization, that we want to go into rescuer. Okay. We want to save people. We want to save people from what we experienced ourselves. And so going into rescuer can be, it's all well-intentioned. I want to help this person, but also it can end up taking away power from the victim and actually not seeing them in their power. But what it can also do, here's where a rescuer can become a persecutor. The rescuer is trying to rescue the victim. I'm trying to help you, and I'm doing all these things. And for a while, the victim is like, yes, I can't do it myself. Or they tend not to. Okay, they're in the victim position. Let me just put it that way, right? They're victimized, or they feel powerless, or whatever. So the rescuer might be like, okay, I'm going to rescue you. But then what happens when the rescuer tries and tries and tries, and the victim doesn't change? And no matter what the rescuer does and how it tries to help that person, this victim still, I can't do it myself, or, they get really upset, or whatever it is, or they feel like it's never enough, let's say. Or maybe they criticize the rescuer, right? In which case they'd be going into persecutor role. But let's just say, they're just not getting with the rescuer's program. The rescuer can become a persecutor and can start attacking the victim and saying, well, you're just so pathetic and helpless, and I've done all this stuff for you, and I've tried to help you and save you, and and you're just not behaving basically the way I want you to behave. That is where a rescuer can become more like a persecutor, okay? Or the rescuer, on the other hand, might be like, nobody understands me, and nobody, and I'm always trying to do all this stuff for everybody, and they just don't care. And sometimes we can fall into the victim mode of feeling like the whole world's against us and there's nobody there to help us. And then we can end up being the victim and then not actually maybe receiving the help that others are trying to give us. You see? So I want to point this out. And let me make this clear. The reason why I'm bringing this up now is partly because there's geopolitical stuff going on right now. And I'm not going to say that, this nation or this religion or these groups or these people or whatever, they're doing this and they're playing that and they're doing this. I am not going to name names, as they say. But I do want to point out that these also can play out in geopolitics. They can play out between our personal relationships, but they can also play out in a bigger way, where maybe a group that's been victimized can end up acting as a persecutor, because in their sense of victimization, they're threatened by everything. And so then they feel like, then they attack, let's say. Or maybe they genuinely have been victimized, but they end up being the attackers. Same thing, of course, with rescuer. You can have groups or nations or whatever that see themselves in the rescuer position. But what ends up happening is that they end up treating this other, let's say, nation or group as a victim, but then that actually ends up disempowering that group. This actually happens a lot. This is where I will say this, because this happens across the world. When certain nations, with aid, they want to give aid to other countries. And yes, that's really, really important. I'm not saying that shouldn't happen, but there's certain kinds of aid for certain periods of time, whatever, that actually can ultimately end up disempowering those people. Like, for example, giving a lot of food to another country can actually end up disempowering and putting out of work the farmers in that other country. And so that ends up, where it's this really well-intentioned rescuer, but then it ends up having this kind of victim effect, I guess, on the other group. So again, I'm not trying to name particular names. I genuinely am not trying to criticize any group in particular, because I think you could say that all nations play this in some levels in different ways. But that's actually the main reason why I'm bringing this up, because I see this on a geopolitical scale, not just, so it's not just like within our personal relationships, but even on a bigger level. And I'm not saying this to try to somehow criticize or indict nations or any nation or never group or whatever in particular, but it's just something to pay attention to. When there's a kind of sea change, or maybe there's a group where its particular identity has been one of these, let's say, but then because another group doesn't respond the way they want to, they can end up playing one of the other roles. So I don't know, I just feel called to point this out and just to offer that as a lens through which you can actually start to see more than just personal relationships. Obviously, we have to clean this up in our personal relationships if we're even going to remotely, clean it up in the world at large. We got to heal ourselves in order to heal the world. But I just want to bring this up as a lens through which we can see our personal relationships, our group dynamics, and even our global dynamics, and just be aware of when that could be happening, just to have an extra layer of understanding, or at least, extra layer of perspective on what we're seeing. So I don't know if this is helpful. I find it really fascinating. I find it extremely helpful to be aware of this. I mean, for myself, I'm even noticing that there's a situation in which I have felt like I'm trying to get a certain result. And I have been, I would say, on the healthy triangle of things with that. But I've noticed that I'm not getting a certain result that I personally want. And so I was telling my husband there, I'm like, I don't want to go into this, just because I'm frustrated or angry with this situation. And so it's another thing too that you could even point out. It's like, there's a healthy triangle too, that sometimes we can end up launching unwittingly into the drama triangle, the unhealthy triangle. So, but in the meantime, if you do find that you are playing one or even all of these roles in any situations in your life, and mind you, that could mean that you notice that you're playing the victim when it comes to, your relationship with your kids, but you're playing the persecutor when it comes to being the boss at work, or you're playing the rescuer when it comes to being the boss at work, or, whatever. This is something to be aware of, how we show up in different areas of our lives with different people. And then anytime we're any one of these on the drama triangle, when we're on the drama triangle, we are not in a healthy place. This is not an empowered, healthy, balanced place to be. None of these. And so it's important to step off the drama triangle, go to the healthy triangle, but also realize that sometimes we can switch between these, that this is a very short distance between any of these. So just something to be aware of. I hope it's helpful. As always, I'm just trying to share information that I've been thinking about, and I hope it's helpful to you. All right. As always, check us out, changelight.world. Listen to my podcast. I think I've got episode 8 or 9 coming out this week. Very exciting stuff. I'm really getting the hang of actually turning a 3-hour drawing out process session into an hour, sometimes even 5 hours actually, into an hour-long episode. And I think they're getting better and better. So stick with me on this. I really hope you like them. I know there's tons of information in there though to learn. And as you listen to someone else transform and their inner critics and inner walls and inner children heal, as you hear those heal in real time, pretty much, you'll, hopefully have your own realizations about your own inner walls and critics and woundeds and all that kind of stuff inside of you, and realize that those parts of you, they can heal too. All right. As always, my love to you. I hope you're well, and I will see you next week.